God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And from this light, God created life upon earth. And man was given dominion over all things upon this earth, and the power to choose between good and evil. But each sought to do his own will, because he knew not the light of God's law. Man took dominion over man. The conquered were made to serve the conqueror. The weak were made to serve the strong. And freedom was gone from the world. So did the Egyptians cause the children of Israel to serve with rigor, and their lives were made bitter with hard bondage. And their cry came up unto God, and God heard them, and cast into Egypt, into the lowly hut of Amram and Jochebed, the seed of a man, upon whose mind and heart would be written God's law and God's commandments, one man to stand alone against an empire.
To keep the idols safe. Why can't they leave it open? Because the idols can protect the churches, everything by itself. No, they cannot protect themselves from the thieves. So how can they become gods, my dear friends? What an ungrateful mankind for the Creator, who God created us. We are very ungrateful to the mankind, to the God. So they make business also. Notice what, my dear friend. They make business out of those idols as well, and they remain like the idols. They make business out of those idols as well, and they remain like the idols. And yet the mankind is ignoring his divine law and worshipping the man-made gods. Notice what the Creator says: He is a jealousy God. He will never give His glory to anyone, not even to His created Son Jesus Christ. Do what the divine law says. And they make business out of those idols as well, and they remain like the idols. The mankind, they remain like the idols. And yet the mankind is ignoring his divine law and worshipping the man-made gods. Notice what the Creator says: He is a jealousy God. He will never give His glory to anyone, not even to His created Son, Jesus Christ. Do what the divine law says. Read Psalm 135, chapter 135, verses 15 to 17. Exodus chapter 24 and 5. At the beginning, God punished the very first man and the woman for disobeyed His commandments, and eventually God destroyed the entire corrupted people and the false religion by deluge, 40 days flood. Read Genesis chapter 17 and Genesis chapter 3 verse 24 and Genesis chapter 6 verse 6 and 7 and Matthew chapter 7 13 verses. At the beginning, God punished the very first man and the woman for disobeyed His commandments, and eventually God destroyed all the mankind, all the corrupted mankind, people, and the false religion by deluge, by flood. Deluge, 40 days flood. Genesis chapter 7, verse 17, and Genesis chapter 3, verse 24, and Genesis chapter 6, verse 6 and 7, and Matthew chapter 7, 13. Excuse me. My dear friends, just imagine what a mighty God the Creator He is. What a mighty God the Creator He is. He is so humble and lovable God. He is so humble and lovable God. Notice what? You may laugh, but it is true. Notice what? You may laugh, but it is true. He is the one who feeds all the mankind with everything daily from His creations freely. Nobody else. Even our stomach was created by Him. You may laugh, my dear friends, but it is true. He is the one who feeds you, or He feeds all the mankind with everything from His everything daily from His creations freely. Nobody else. Even our stomach was created by Him. He created everything for human to maintain their life, to live continuously, using freely from His creation to live on this earth. He created everything for the human to maintain their life, to live continuously, using freely from His creations to live on this earth. Can the Satan, devil, create such a marvelous created things of the Almighty God? Focus this, my dear. Can the Satan, the devil, create such a marvelous created things of the Almighty God? No, not at all. And yet, why the mankind is following the Satan's, the devil's organizations? Ungrateful people, ungrateful mankind. Yet, why the mankind is following the Satan, the devil's organization? This is a good topic, my dear friends. Just listen carefully. Notice what? The uncivilized forefathers who created the false religion, the Satan, the devil's organizations, the caste, the creed, and the idols, and it has become a merchandise business center today. Notice what, my dear friends, this is very true. The uncivilized forefathers who created the false religion, the Satan, the devil's organizations, the caste, the creed, and the idols, and it has become a merchandise business center today. You would have noticed, you would have seen many things. They sell the cross, they sell many idols. It's all business. They create this. Even they following the astrologist. They following the astrologist, the sorcerers and demons, rituals, performance, and lay all their gifts from gold to silver and money to the idols to seek for a peaceful life on this earth and to safeguard their families, and yet they couldn't find a solution to this very day. I would like to read this once again, my dear friends. The uncivilized forefathers who created the false religion, the Satan, the devil's organization, the caste, the creed, and the idols, and it has become a merchandise business center today all over the world. Following the astrologists, the sorcerers, and demons, rituals, performance, and lay all their gifts from gold to silver and money to the idols to seek for a peaceful life on this earth, and yet they couldn't find a solution to this very day. So, my dear friends, this is why God created His divine law for the mankind to protect themselves from the Satan, the devil. Excuse me. This is why God created His divine law for the mankind to protect themselves from the Satan, the devil. Read Matthew chapter 7:13. Read Matthew chapter 7:13. His divine law is a consuming of fire. His divine law is a consuming of fire, and His wrath, His anger, God's anger, it's roaming all over the world, day and night, and it will never stop until God's judgment day. I would like to read this once again, my dear friends. His divine law is a consuming of fire, and God's anger, His wrath, is roaming all over the world, day and night, and it will never sleep or stop until God's judgment day. My dear friends, now we know that the Creator's divine law, it is not a man-made fairy tale stories. God says, I am not idol made out of materials from the earth, and do not bow down to them, to any man-made gods. Read Exodus chapter 24 and 5 verses. Now we know that the Creator's divine law is not a man-made fairy tale stories. God says, I am not an idol made out of materials from the earth, and do not bow down to any man-made gods. Read Exodus chapter 24 and 5 verses. And do what the divine law says. This is a very nice topic. We must focus this carefully. Do what the divine law says in 2 Corinthians chapter 6, 16 and 17. See what God says. God says, you are the temple. I will be with you and walk with you, and I will be your God. And therefore you come out from the false religion's temples and from the Christendom, and do not touch no unclean things, and then I will be your God, and you will be my sons and daughters. We'll read this again, my dear friends. You see what God's divine law says, the Bible says. In 2 Corinthians, it says in 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 16 and 17. God says, you are the temple. I will be with you and walk with you, and I will be your God. Therefore, you come out from the false religion's temples and from the Christendom, and do not touch no unclean things. And then I will be your God, and you will be my sons and daughters. What a wonderful verse of this. Further, God has said, if anyone destroys God's temple, you are that temple. We'll see how it is. If anyone destroys God's temple,